And welcome to Cognitive Cuisine. I am Will Otero.
Hi, I'm Yayoi Komiyama.
And welcome to Cognitive Cuisine. Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Hey, Yayoi.
Hi, Will. How is everything over there?
Well, it's not that bad. The weather is pretty good. We're coming into the springtime, so
First day of
it's a good thing.
I think today is the first day of spring, right? Yep, it is.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, it is officially the first day of spring according to our calendars.
But unfortunately for my wife, she had to travel and she's in some snow and ice right now. So but babe, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make fun of you. But anyway, so yeah, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's we're getting teased by the weather definitely
Mhm.
here in New York. Yesterday it was like close to 60, and today it's back down to 47, 50, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's a
And
good spring day here in the mountains. It's like 49 right now, and I know. Well, I went outside was with a hoodie and a t-shirt, and yeah, so no, yeah, it's good with the weather change and everything and all that. So,
yeah.
but
Yeah, it's
it's gonna get better.
yeah, oh
It's gonna
yeah,
be
definitely, definitely. It has to.
so. I decided I wanted us to talk about something that you're doing and something that a lot of coaches and content creators kind of don't know how to pitch an offer or even how to build an offer of showing what their value is or whatever it is. We're just gonna discuss many different things, but I feel this is something that you're doing right now, and I know you have some experience with doing creating programs and everything. So
Yeah.
just wanted
Uh,
to lean on a little bit on your experience right now.
yeah, thank you, thank you. Well, gosh, yeah, it's been I think this past year has really been about creating more content, creating ways to get more exposure because I can be the best coach in the world, let's say, for example, but if I'm not advertising, if I'm not marketing, if people don't know I exist, how am I going to get clients, right?
Yeah.
So definitely it's important to talk about it. Um, my mentor says, just talk to anyone. I don't know if I'm that brave, but like he said, when you're in an elevator with people, say, how are you? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. But, maybe as a guy, it might be a little easier. But as a woman, doing that is kind of odd, especially here in New York. People be like, what the, right? But
Yeah, no. For me, I think it would probably be easier for me walking to the local Walmart or whatever, saying hi to people.
yeah,
That's not a problem. But for people, it's not easy to go and sell themselves to people like
yeah,
and because they don't want to feel all salesy and they don't want people to feel like they're pushing
yeah,
themselves on them and everything. So
yeah,
I can understand why some people are afraid and find it difficult to go out and sell themselves and
yeah.
talk to people.
I know, and it's also like you don't want to sound like you're selling anything, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even want to sound like I'm selling anything because yes, I do want to make money, yes, because I do have to make a living of some sort. But, at the heart of it is I want to help people. And I think many of us coaches and even content creators, we do this because there's a bigger why to it, right? Like, why are we doing this? Like, for me, it's I want to get my message across that you don't have to be alone, you don't have to be doing the diet thing, diet, weight, health, all of that. You don't have to be doing it all alone in anything, really. You don't have to be in pain by yourself. You can find people that are going to be there to help you. um, you can find community that's going to be loving and supportive instead of throwing you out, or just, being hurt because you're not accepted by the people around you. Um, I think that's where, what we want to do. And for me, that's what I want to do is to help the people that are struggling because I see a lot of people struggling with weight health. and with yo-yo dieting and not being able to find a good balance. Like I always say, I want to change people's relationship with food from messy and chaotic to balanced and peaceful, right? And it's really about creating that feeling of peaceful within themselves. And it's really, and I do that by rewiring your brain. And it's something that anyone can do to change their perspective and to rewire it because our brains are always creating new neural pathways. And if we know how to create them, you can create a better way of thinking instead of saying, I'm no good, I'm always a failure. Even that energy, right? When you say it, oh,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
icky, right? I want to just brush it off. But so, things like that, it's like creating better energy for yourself. Um, and it's really the why is so important because I just it was funny. I was looking, something fell off. I put post-it notes all over, right?
yeah.
I'm one of these post-it note persons, and this one was on the floor for some reason. And I was like, huh, I wonder what it means. And I was like, maybe it has a meaning. So I was going to make a Facebook post with this. But it says, the bigger the why, the harder you try.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's good, right? I was like, oh, I should make a Facebook post with that. But
Yeah.
I think it ties into what we're saying here too,
Yeah. No,
because yeah,
it absolutely does. It absolutely does tie into, because again, a lot of it is coaches that lack the confidence, that really don't know how to. They're programmed in their mind with the fact that they're like, oh no, you're not worth this much, or people saying, or letting people even say what their value is. Who are other people to question what you are worth? Like if you feel this is what your hourly rate is to charge someone to work with them, that's your I was watching Myron Golden, and
hmm
he said, if it don't make you smile, if your offer doesn't make you smile, then what good
yeah.
is it?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's, an offer is basically an exchange of energy, right? You're
Yeah.
exchanging an energy with somebody. You're sharing your energy, your time, and you're sharing basically a part of yourself with someone. And like you're saying, talking about self-worth, that comes from within. It's like think of what you would have paid for someone to help you when you were at that stage. Like I would have paid anything to like get out of that pain that I was in, anything that I could afford, for sure. And I mean, I've made poor choices in the past too, but but still, it's learning from those experiences, right? And it's really, you can charge what you think you're worth is because it's the value that you give the other person.
Hmm.
And it's the value of you because your time, I mean, time is a commodity and we have limited time here on earth, right?
Yeah.
Sadly, we don't know when. And it's our time, our energy that we're giving somebody. So I think, whatever you think that is worth to you, you should charge that person that value. And if they say they can't afford it, then work something out because it's about exchanging the energy between two people or three or whatever, right? The group or whatever. But it's really, the energy exchange
Oh yeah. And
and time.
I know I see because I see you all the time. Like I'm always talking to you about it because you're part of a community bump, and you are interviewing so many people and you're talking to so many people, and now and that's something that's very important because you're reaching their audience as well as now you're
Yeah.
introducing them to your audience, and so these interviews is just great
Yeah.
because
Thank
it's a networking group where a bunch of you are just interviewing each other,
Yep.
and connecting and building and introducing to different audiences. So it's a great experience because I got to
Yeah.
experience a little bit of it and
Yeah.
had a good time. I actually made a few connections through it, and
Oh, yay. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, because I mean, I do this, I'm part of this group called Bump Global TV. And what it is it's a group of networkers. We network with each other and we share. Basically, it gives anyone a stage, mic, and an audience. And because I'm one of the founding members, I have the privilege of interviewing people into different groups. And right now, we're doing something called anyone that's a member of Bump. There's 3 people that are chosen to be Bumps of the Day, and that's why you're seeing a lot of me all over the place. Um, because the more I participate, the more I accrue points, and then I have more of a possibility to be a Bump of the Day. And it's a really weird process, but anyway. And what happens is when you become a Bump of the Day, the person that bumps you can take you into their Facebook profile, not their groups, but their profile, which is usually a little bigger than the groups, right?
yeah,
And they get to interview you and to ask you what you do and what your message is. So I get to share that. It's very short, but it gets you out there. It's, exposure. And that's what you've been seeing me all over the place. But you know what? It was great practice for me too.
yeah, because it helps you develop your skills as an interviewer.
Yes.
Because people don't realize the more you do an interview, the more you improve because you
Oh,
learn
yeah.
from the mistakes. You get more comfortable behind the mic. Believe me, when I started, I don't know. I had no clue. All I know was to speak into the mic, but I learned and improved, and so that has helped you improve your skills because
Oh, yeah.
you're talking to everybody, and you can see the confidence that you have in when your interviews and the knowledge that you have with your responses here and other places that you're at that you appear on. It just shows you that the more you do it, it's repetition.
Yeah. And you know how we're always like any one of us, we all have the procrastination, the hesitation, the
Yeah.
fear, right? And the fear of rejection, especially when we're on like this. And I know that you went through, getting over that hesitation to just do it. And it's really, like you said, it's really about taking the action. It may be small, but, doing that gives you the confidence that, oh, well, I kind of messed up that one, but next one's going to be better, right? Or, and people are going to respond to your genuine heart. If you, as long as whatever you're saying, whatever you're doing is coming from your heart, people will respond to it. It's when you're all fakey and when you're trying to be something that you're not that people are going to be a little turned off. Well, I know I would be turned off when I know, yeah, I'm like
You
pretty
know,
keen on, getting turned off by people that are fake.
no, definitely, definitely. I get you and I feel you on that. Um, but when people go about creating offers,
Yes.
they sometimes like they need to define what their niche is. Where is it that you want? What audiences is that you're targeting? This is
Yeah.
where I
Right.
feel I have a solution to a problem.
Yeah. And I mean, for you, like you're stuck in your mind podcast, right?
Yeah.
That came out of your own situation. And I think, crafting your offer comes from finding who your target audience is. And usually it's you,
Mhm.
like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, before you came through, because all of us have had some sort of, I wouldn't say trauma, but some sort of issue that held you back from being your best self. And and you've overcome that, you've overcome something, so you want to share that with the world. And so your target audience is usually what you were before you came through it all. So that's how I've been taught. And And I think that is the best way to address it because you know it, you've lived through it. And of course, people are going to be like, oh, he lived through it, she lived through it. Maybe I can get through it from learning from them because I know, like, this is what that, and everyone knows this, but, I've worked for a weight health company for 20 something years. It's a pretty big weight health company, and I'm just going to say it, it's Weight Watchers. Um, but I worked for them, and I thought their marketing was ingenious in that the people that work for the company in the field are all former members.
Mm.
So, in order to work for the company in the field, in the workshops and whatever, you had to have gone through the program, lost at least 5 pounds, and kept it off. And we have to check in as well. And I thought that was the best marketing out there because, I mean, who would you trust? Would you trust someone that hasn't gone through a program?
Or someone who's been in the program
Yeah,
and
and gone
showed
through it.
results. Yeah, and has
Yeah,
results. Yeah.
yeah.
That's genius. That's to show you. That's showing the people, hey, look, I was where you was at.
Yeah. And, if you see, like, I know when I joined and I saw somebody who lost like 100 pounds and they've kept it off, right? I'm like, wow, if they can do it, then I can do it. It gives you more confidence too. And it gives me confidence that I could trust the person to know
Mhm.
what they're talking about, that they're not just spewing BS, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's good to know that the person that's talking to you has experienced this. Know that like, oh man, he knows where I've been at.
Yeah.
It's being able to show people like, hey, listen, everybody, like you said, people's been have been through things in their lives and that they have to overcome. Some of them do overcome it. Some of some of us don't.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to be able to reach those that you want to get through, that you want to help them get through all those obstacles that they're facing.
Yeah. And as a coach, what you want to do is you want to be able to nudge them a little bit so that they can take the action so that they can give them the support that they need to be able to move forward. And sometimes you need to be the one that guides them a little bit, pull their hand a little bit and say, hey, it's this way, this worked for me, you might want to try it this way, or what do you think this might be a good way for you to do it. um, and then also give them options. These are the options that are out there. What do you think is going to work for you? And, as a coach, I think it's also helping the person understand who they are and what they actually want. Um, my mentor, he always says, the first question to ask your client is, what do they want? And when you ask a client, what do you want? The first things that they say are what they don't want. So, like, this is a silly one, but like, it would say, what do you want in a boyfriend or a girlfriend? And they go, well, I don't want them to be a procrastinator. I don't want them to be sloppy. I don't want them to this, right? It's always, I don't, I don't, I
Yeah.
don't. But then you're like, what do you want though? And then they have to really think about it. And the thinking process is actually a pattern interrupt too, to be honest with you. Interrupts your negative thoughts, the don'ts, and say, well, what is the positive thing I want? And then you start thinking, and then your energy level is changed as well. And when you think about what you want, well, I want someone that's has integrity, let's say, for example, right? That the whole energy from what I just said is totally different than all the I don't want this, right? So it's actually, what do you want? So, what do you want your offer to be? What do you want your clients to get? You know, what do you want the end result to be? For me, it's I want the end result is I want my clients to feel whole again, to be able to feel like they don't have to worry about eating and exercising to, burn off the calories that they ate, or not to be consumed about thoughts of food and exercising to balance out their whole life. I want them to be able to think that food is a little easier to handle, that maintaining their health is a little easier, so that they can actually live life. Because I know that I spent years just thinking about food, what I was going to eat, how I was going to burn it off, and it was a rotation of that. And that was no way of living a life.
Even, but I brought this up in a couple of conversations I've had this week, and the conversation as far as food and everything was growing up as a kid. McDonald's was a privilege. Like it wasn't every day.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was something like you probably got once a month if you were going out grocery shopping with your mom and she wanted to just get something quick to eat. It wasn't something that you eat constantly every day, and that's where it's changed for us now, where we're eating this fast foods and all, and it's not helping our health at all.
Right. And
So yeah.
yeah.
That's what I've been noticing recently, and of course I'm guilty of it. I've switched over to the fast food. Well, not anymore. I'm
Yeah.
no longer on that lifestyle, but it's just
I yeah, I get it, because when you're like rushed, I mean, it's like, okay, I don't have time to cook when I get home. I'm going to go through the drive-through, pick up a few things, you know, believe me, I've been guilty of that. And then I'll have the fast food, and because it's easier, it's convenient. And when you're so tired from working, you get home, you don't really want to be cooking. But then that's why the fast food thing really, appeals, right?
yeah.
And yeah.
And some coaches try to serve up the fast food.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, they try to just serve up the fast food instead of really trying to help that person trying to feed them the gourmet meal.
Yeah. Wow, that's a good point. And I think that goes back to, finding a coach that you really resonate
Like
with.
what would be your ultimate goal? Like what would your offer be to like how would you want to work with this? I want to work with you this long amount of time, and after this amount of time, there should there be a, or is it something you constantly going to continue to? Because where do you know
Yeah.
that you've reached the limit with this offer and
Or
to
with
this
the
person? Like,
client.
yeah,
Yeah. First things, I will initially have a call with them, just to see if our energies will work together. Because there's certain people that I can't work with. I'll be
yeah.
honest with you. You know, personalities
You
clash.
shouldn't have to, and you shouldn't
Yeah.
have to listen. Listen, this is all about if the energy's right. You want to work with people where the energy's correct and you can see growth in that
Yes.
relationship when you
Yes.
work with someone.
And
There's nothing wrong with surrounding yourself with the proper energy. There's
exactly.
nothing wrong with that. That's
Yeah.
what everyone should be doing actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, if I feel any resistance, I'm not going to work with that person, because I know that I'll never get through to that person unless I feel that I can. I mean, I also trust my gut a lot on things
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, that's where it would start. And my goal as a coach, this is just me personally, is to get the client to a place where they can coach themselves almost,
Yeah.
meaning that they learn. And I'm not going to be hand holding them the whole time. When I coach someone, I give a lot of work for them to do, inner work. So it may be journaling, or it may be doing a gratitude journal, spending 5 minutes in the morning for yourself, creating rituals for yourself. Um, it's a lot of work. And if you're not
Yeah.
willing to do it, I'm like, you might want to find somebody else that might work better for you, right? Um, and my goal is to get a person to the place where they can feel whole without me being there, using me as a crutch, kind of like. I don't want them to use me as a crutch. They need to be, it's kind of like, when you let your kids grow up, right? I kind of like see it that way, so that they can be on their own. And then let's say, for example, I have like a 3 month or 6 month project with them,
Yeah.
a contract with them, let's say, for example. And towards the end of the 6 months, if they feel like they want to continue on with newer goals, because at that point, I'm hoping that they have already got evolved a little
Yeah.
bit, right? Achieved what they've wanted. And it's up to them whether they want to continue working with me to grow more, or if they feel that, our time together has been fulfilled and they're happy with it, then they can say, okay, I'm going to work on this or digest this a little bit and see where it takes me. And that's okay too, because, like we know with people in relationships, some people are here for only a season, some people are here for years, right?
Yeah.
And that's the environment that you create. So, I'm very much about letting the client decide when they are ready to, go, or if they want to continue to grow with me. It's up to them. And yeah, I think it's really about energies and how much the relationship that you create with that person. Yeah.
So a lot of people, what they do is a lot of coaches they try to find that automated system where now they're just sending you videos and here this is your off. This is what I'm offering you, but you're more
Hands
hands
on.
on.
Yeah.
You're the kind of coach that you want to work with the individual one on one, and I understand those other coaches who do they want to they're trying to reach out a broader audience. So for you, it's more hands on, more one on one.
Yeah, I mean, I have my programs that are recorded too.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I have those, but those are so that they can get a taste of what it's like to work with me.
that's
Because
more of an introduction. Yeah,
yeah, because ultimately I want to be able to work with them one on one or at least in a group where it's an intimate setting. I like group coaching a lot too because usually the people that come to the groups, uh, like if we do like a 8 week or 12 week program or something, they're all very supportive people that come into the groups, right? They want to help each other. And the energy from a community is really important for a lot of people. And I'm a firm believer in community. I believe that that's why I have the Brain to Belly Facebook group. And, that's why I create these different communities. I have a support group too, but it's like you want in the support groups, you have this community which is loving and caring. And a lot of us, when we're struggling, it's lonely. It's lonely and you feel like you're all alone in this whole thing. And with the group coaching, you know that you have, even if you don't participate, you're with these people that are going to, they're not going to judge you. They're going to be very supportive of you in whatever you do. They'll cheer you on for all of your, celebrations, anything that you've achieved, and they'll help you and support you when you're really down. And that's what I love about the group coaching. And, if you're working one on one with me, it's really, I'll be your cheerleader and I'll also be your nudger to say, hey, I will question something if I think that needs to be questioned. And it's all out of love, really.
absolutely, and that's why it's you have to do it with the intention of again we talk about yes we're doing it just because we need to make money to make a living and everything as well, but a lot of us who want to coach would really truly do it because we love it, because we want to help people out. Our goal and our purpose here is to help people grow,
Yeah.
And we're growing in the process.
Yeah.
Like every day I'm learning something new. Every day I'm developing myself and trying to better myself and improving on things. That's an everyday thing for me now.
Yeah.
Like even for the rest of my life, it's an everyday thing.
Yeah. And I think even coaches have coaches, just want to
Yeah.
say, because they're constantly growing. I mean, I wouldn't trust a coach that wasn't working on themselves, you know, because all of us should be evolving and working on themselves, the personal growth, personal development, because that is so important to, that's important to me. And for me, those are my values. So if your values don't align with your coach, that's kind of sad. I would say that's not a good match. And going back to Bump a little bit, the Bump Global, we have so many different coaches from different, fields, also from that are different energies, different lifestyles, different experiences. And I think that the thing I love about Bump is that you could get all these different people, so you get to experience the variety that's out there, so you can find your good fit as well. And also, I think what helps is that, like you said, it's a network, so you could spread to get more exposure. And I found that doing that, I've grown because I've learned from different people, the different coaches that I've interviewed, or I've been interviewed by, and I learned their techniques. I learned from them and say, oh, this is something new I've never knew about. I want to learn a little bit more from them. And it just gives you a whole new world to explore. I know that sounds really weird, but it's like you could explore these new worlds and new thoughts. And that's kind of exciting to me. Yeah. And that helps you to grow better as a coach, as a human being.
Yeah. It's definitely important for coaches to get coaches and mentors and have and that's the and it's amazing. Even when how we met, the
Oh,
club,
yeah.
the networking way, the networking, and Steve and how he. So I met Steve, and he took me to an event, and that's where I met Yayoi,
Yeah.
and we like I had a great time at the event, and then me and Yayoi became friends and started collaborating, and it just felt right. Like I want like when I met Yayoi, I was like, I want to do something with
Yeah.
her. I want
Yeah.
this is kind of this I just like I like how she does her thing, and it was like, hey, yeah, yo, you want to do a show together?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, you know when you meet somebody that your energies are really similar,
Yeah,
or you well, it's like with any relationship, right? When you find a good friend, or but it was online. Yeah, it was at a networking online event,
yeah,
and I met Steve, and I was like, "Oh, Steve." Steve, introduced us, and I'm
yeah,
like, "Wow, I really like his energy. I like what he's doing." And then we started talking. We're like, "Yeah, let's do something together." And I mean, I look forward to doing this every week because it's just my fun time. And I get to be with my buddy and I get to, talk about what I love.
yeah,
And, the best thing about coaching, or, even what you're doing with your podcast, is that when you see or when you hear somebody getting it, when it clicks in their mind that something you said was helpful for them, and it clicked, that they're like, "Oh, yeah, that would be so helpful for me." Or when they say, "Oh, that's gonna be a great way for me to handle that." You know that it clicked in them, and you see their eyes light up, and you hear it in their voice, and you're like, "Wow, I helped to do that." And, you know, that's what the best feeling about being a coach is, when you see the client getting it. Yeah.
and it was again. I was listening to Myron Golden, and
Mhm.
that's like my new internet where I'll be on YouTube. I'm watching a lot of his clips and a lot of his videos and stuff like that. And he said something that was like really was like was impactful to me today, and it just goes the difference between choices and decisions,
Mm,
and the impact that they have on you because of another thing he was like, you know who lies to you the most? Yourself.
yeah,
He says you lie to yourself so much that when you have something that is really impactful, and you just don't want to believe it because you've lied to yourself so much that when you're on that path of discovery, and there's so much resistance because of all the lies you've told yourself.
yeah, yeah. That is so
And
true.
I'm like, oh shit, like, and I never, and it's just, I really never thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's true. That's very impactful. And, wow, like our brains, just going back to brain health and
Yeah.
stuff, our brains believe everything we tell it,
Yes.
or, what we hear from society around us, whatever. So if you're constantly telling yourself, hey, I'm no good, I'm a failure, your brain's gonna start believing it. And even if it's like maybe 5 minutes a day or even 2 or 3 minutes, right, a day, telling yourself, hey, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty magnificent. I'm pretty cool. Even if it's like something like that, your brain's going to start believing it. And then you're really going to start believing it because you really are. I mean, the fact that we're here, that our parents gave us this life, right? And we've made something of ourselves. The fact that
Hmm.
we're here doing this or doing that, that we're living our lives in one way or another. If you look back on your own history, I'm sure any one of us has something that they're so proud of that they accomplished. Maybe it was graduating from high school, graduating college, um, taking that exam that you've always been scared of, or even getting your driver's license. you know Anything that you went through a lot to get to, you've accomplished. um Even if it was like when you were a kid and you struggled tying your shoelaces. I know I struggled tying my shoelaces and because I couldn't figure out the knot. I'm serious. And
Oh,
it took me, I learned how to tie a knot the easy way, when you create the two loops and
yeah.
you create that. That's how I learned it, because I couldn't figure out the other way. And it took me until probably I was in my 30s to figure that out. And I'm telling that it's the truth. It's the truth. But, even being able to tie my shoelaces properly, even if it was the fake way or the easy way, I was proud of myself because I was able to do it as a kid. And, even reflecting on that feeling is something that you can build on, that build your confidence on.
Oh, yeah. And that is something that something for me personally, again, speaking for myself, with everything that I've been going through and everything, like the way that I've lost has definitely shifted my confidence, and changed, because now I look at myself in the mirror and then I see a picture of myself even from September, and I'm looking like, wow, like I know a lot. I know a lot of the reasons why things were holding me back was because of my weight. Just even wanting to get into coaching, even wanting to do what I want to do, because I had lacked self confidence in myself. Because I was like, look at me, who's going to want to learn from me? And being able to do this with you and talk about this and let people know, like, everyone struggles, everyone has these thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone. And, it's it's normal to in a way it's normal because that's, we have to grow through those, right? And it's the learning. And I know that, we all struggle with, like, and when you said, who's going to want to hear from me, and that reminded me of a Jim Rohn quote, is, if you can't see what I'm seeing, borrow my glasses.
Yeah.
And I love that quote because others see us differently. We don't understand. I mean, we only see ourselves from ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes taking even a physical step out of yourself and looking at yourself from a different perspective can make a huge difference. Like, you know, I think with my own weight health issues and all that, it took me a long time to realize that I've always associated myself with being a heavy person because I was always heavy since high school, junior high, high school. And my identity, even in college when I lost a lot of weight, was I'm a heavy person. And even through the eating disorder, I'm a heavy person. And it took me a long time to realize that people that meet me now don't associate me with that. So when I say, oh, yeah, I used to be like 30 pounds heavier, they're like, what? Because they see me, they accept me as what they see, as the thin, or I'm not that thin, but, as a normal bodied person, right?
Yeah.
And they don't see me as the heavy person, but in my mind, I'm still this heavy person. And it took me a long time to figure out, wait a minute, that's not quite it. So it was like that. And my sister said, no, you're still thinking of yourself as that heavy person. Because I think we were in Tokyo and I wanted to buy a pair of jeans and I went into Uniqlo and I'm like looking at different things and I'm like, okay, I think it's this size. She goes, well, bring the smaller size with you just in case, right? And I did, and it was a smaller size that actually fit me. And
Yeah.
she goes, you're still in my sister, only my sister could get away with saying this. She goes, you're still thinking of yourself as too heavy. And you have to get over that. And it made me realize, sometimes we have to step out of ourselves. And that exercise of stepping out of yourself, that's a coaching, one of the techniques that we use is, stepping out of your physical self. Like, this is old me, old Yayoi, and new Yayoi is over here, let's say, for example.
Yeah.
And you would actually have a conversation with each other and figure out, because sometimes doing that and actually going through the exercise of doing that gives you a newer perspective on who you are. Um, I just thought of something, is that when I was in coaching school, one of the assignments that the instructors gave us, which now that I think in retrospect I'm like, wow, that was really smart of them to give us this exercises. They said, tell your friends, find five or six friends or family members, and tell them that you have a project for your coaching class or, any of your classes. And you were assigned to, you were told to have them give you 5 qualities that they admire about you, and ask them to, send it to you, right? Write it down and send it to you, tell you whatever that they admire about you, that they love about you, that makes you uniquely you. So I did that and I got all these nice comments and I was like, oh, okay. I never knew that people saw me like that. And that was actually a great exercise because it gave me a lot of confidence knowing
Yeah.
that people saw me like that. And I was like, okay, but now that I think about it in retrospect, I was like, that was ingenious because they were trying to build our confidence up with that exercise. But like anyone that's listening, I'm like,
Because
try it.
you think about, because you're hit with so much negativity all the time that it's very uncommon to get all these 5 people to say 5 good things about you.
Yeah.
And it might all be different. It all might be the same. You never know. But either way, if they're the same, then that's how people view you. Like, oh,
Yeah.
he's a kind person, all this or whatever it is, and all all these different things. So I can see where it can help boost
Yeah,
boost up someone because everyone needs a little
boosting.
boost.
Yeah,
Everybody needs a boost here and there.
yeah. And I think it's good because you're actually seeing what other people are seeing, not what you're seeing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And, we're our worst critics.
Yes, we
You
are.
know that. And, I know, like I always say with my clients, um, treat yourself the way you would treat your best friend, not the way you treat yourself. Because when we look in the mirror, I know I've said horrible things to myself. And the things I've said to myself, I would never be able to say that to anyone I love. Yet I'm able to say it to myself, and if you think about that, I'm just saying maybe be aware of what you say to yourself because it has a huge impact.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. That's something that I've always said. Self talk is very important. Like the way you talk to yourself is sometimes we're just the most disrespectful to ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just say some real vile and nasty stuff about ourselves that we wouldn't accept anyone else say to us. So we shouldn't accept it from ourselves. We shouldn't accept the fact that we feel no. That's just programming from other people telling you that this is what you're worth. No,
Yeah.
we need to, and it's not easy.
It's not.
Everybody's work. It's work. You need to work on yourself. This is something that is gonna take a lifetime.
Yeah. And
It's
it's, yeah.
and some people get to where they need to be in their life, but this is a commitment to really you
Yeah.
making it yourself. Very very important that you. I'm not saying we're not telling you to be selfish or any stuff like that,
No.
but your decisions and your thought process, not anyone else's. Go with that. You use what you believe in, what is you seem to be the right path for you.
Yeah, because we know deep inside. Like when you're doing something that you know isn't in alignment with who you are, you feel it.
Hmm.
And in the back of your mind, like, this doesn't feel right. You're saying it doesn't feel right, yet you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
So that must mean something. I'm like, sometimes look at the obvious. And I do it sometimes too, even now. I mean, I'm always growing. I'm always making mistakes and learning from my mistakes because that is who we are. We need to learn from our mistakes. We're always growing.
Yeah.
And, until the day I die, I'm going to be probably trying to readjust and, recalibrate so that I can be the best self that I can be. And I think it's kind of like recalibrating yourself every day, you know? I kind of like that because, you want to be at your optimal every day. And how can you recalibrate yourself so that you're at your optimal and, doing the things you really want to do?
Yeah. And it's because I listen to a lot of vi- videos on YouTube and I watch a lot
Hmm.
of coaches and different, and they all deliver the same message
Yeah.
differently.
Hmm.
And then when I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I heard someone else say what he said, but he said it in his unique way.
Yeah.
So as a coach, you have to find your unique way.
Yes.
You have to find out you who authentically are you to your clients. Like you have to find your way to deliver your message and your abilities to your clients.
Yeah.
And that's where the very successful ones are very successful because they know who they are
Yeah.
and they know who the clients that they want and who they want to attract into their circle and all. So you see the difference and the coaches that are up here making the 6 7 figures to someone who's just maybe just starting out and learning, because you have to build up that confidence. These coaches didn't just get there overnight.
No.
This coaches started from the ground up and build themselves. And that's where a lot of us get,
Impatient.
yeah, because we see these coaches just blow up. No, they've been working at this. You're just, a lot of the coaches are just jumping in now and want to become 6 7 figure earners. Then,
It
like,
takes,
who are you?
yeah.
That's what people are looking at. They're looking at, like, who are you?
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, with anything, right? You have to kind of work at it, get better, and it's really refining it and
Yeah,
finding
gotta be
you're
a
finding
skill.
your
Yeah,
niche, also finding your ideal clients. And like you said, you have to be your unique self. But until you get to be your unique self, model people that you admire, model, the qualities that your mentors have, or the people that you want to, the qualities that you want. Like, I'm big on integrity. I like, mentoring people with integrity because I want to be that way. I want to be somebody that they could say, oh, she does exactly what she says, right? Like my mentor always says, physician, heal thyself, and we don't teach theory. Those are two things my mentor says. And I love that because I don't want to teach theory because that's kind of fake, right?
yeah,
Yeah, if I'm not doing the things that I'm talking about, that's kind of like, what am I selling then? I'm selling BS. I mean, I could sell BS, I'm sure I could, but I wouldn't feel right about it.
yeah. Absolutely. Of course you wouldn't, because that's not who you are, and that's not what you're about. So
Yeah,
of course you wouldn't feel right about it. And anyone who again, I'm not liking anyone who's just doing it for the money. That's their right. That's what
yeah,
they're.
that's that's
That's
all.
fine.
Yeah,
That's on. That's good. You have to live with that.
yeah,
Again, I have to live with my decisions and my choices and what is my purpose for doing this.
yeah,
Again, this is something that I didn't discover my purpose till, and I'm still not really discover. I'm still learning some more. Like, but I didn't discover what lane I wanted to be in till I was 44 years old when I started my podcast.
yeah,
I didn't know that my lane was for me to go and help people, and let it. The beginning of it was the podcast was helping people deliver their message, and me sharing my story and me sharing my message, and that's led me to get certified in life coaching and do other things and learn about myself and launch other projects and do all these different things. But it took time. It wasn't something, again, this was in my lane. This I was not in the self-development lane. This is not where, but this is where the podcast has led me.
yeah. And
And
you,
I feel so good being able to help people, to be able to make an impact in someone's life with a video or whatever kind of content I create, or this episode or whatever other episode we create, because you're impacting people, and who knows who are the it's, again, it's that ripple effect. Is now
totally,
you're extending your reach.
yeah. It's really that ripple effect, and I that's beautiful. And I'm so glad you started your podcast because that was also a way to find out more about who you are because
Hmm.
you were challenging yourself. So,
Yeah.
how they say that get out of your comfort zone
Hmm.
because when you're stuck in your comfort zone, you really aren't growing. You're just stagnant. And, it's scary to step out of that comfort zone because you don't know what's out there. You don't know if what's going to happen. But if you don't do it, you'll never find out.
Yeah. And then, and that's where, again, that's where a lot of people struggle at is like, oh, they don't put out their offers because they don't have that confidence in themselves. They don't believe, they're stuck in their head with all the nonsense that other people were telling them. Or, like for me, it was who's gonna want to listen to me? Why would they listen to me? I'm not a professional. This isn't what I do, but I've grown to love it. I've grown to want to improve myself. First of all, that's where a lot of it is. The growth has been from me. I'm helping other people grow with me sharing my platforms, but I'm also growing at myself. I'm also developing myself. And that was something for me at the beginning, was like I felt kind of selfish because I was learning so much.
But it's the ripple effect, right? By
Mhm.
you becoming, you learning and you embodying it, that influence by you talking, just being existing, that ripple effect is there. So you're sharing your knowledge or whatever you learned. So you're not being selfish, you're sharing
Yeah.
by being. And I think that's what's so important about all this is that, we're not perfect, but we're trying.
Mhm.
And by showing that we're trying, we're saying, hey, you know, we got out of it. We made that one little shift that got us out of it. And it's like, I think somebody said something that was really powerful to me one time was, do you want to be in the same place you are now a year from now? And I'm like, hell no, right?
But a lot of us don't make that change.
Yeah. And because we don't know, but getting a coach, even listening to this, if write down one little thing that you can do. It could, I mean, tiny, like, Tony Robbins always says, how do you eat an elephant, right? And
One
it's,
piece at a time.
yeah, one piece at a time, one bite at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really about that one little bite. And, it could be, if you're struggling with your weight health or you want to eat healthier, maybe it could be, well, when you're feeling hungry, determine whether it's thirst or hunger. That one simple thing, just concentrate on that just for the week. Or if it's about getting more activity in, okay, decide that you're going to walk 5 minutes every day. 5 minutes, maybe it's to leaving your home to get to the mailbox. I don't know, back and forth, maybe once or twice. It could be something like that. Or if that's not going to even work, march in place while you watch a TV, while you're watching something, for maybe set your timer for 2 minutes and just march in place, because that alone is still activity that you're doing. And you have to be kind to yourself. Don't set these extreme goals, because who can do it? Not even, I don't know why I got this. This tells me my age. I was thinking, oh yeah, the bionic man. See,
Six
that's my
million,
age. That was my first
$6 million
exposure to
man,
all that.
yes, and the
Yeah,
Bionic Woman.
yeah,
That does give away our age. We did watch those shows.
yeah. And I was thinking, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I was thinking, but maybe they could do it. But it's like first steps first. I mean, a baby learns how to walk by crawling first,
Yeah,
right? And then they try to stand up, and it takes a while to learn that. So be gentle with yourself, like you would be with a baby.
definitely, definitely. All right, but oh man, look at that. We've come up to the hour. It's and as always, we just start talking and we we lead you everywhere. But that's the wonderful madness that we bring uh, together when we get together. We start somewhere and we end up all over. But it's all great. No, it's all great information. It's information that
Mm.
someone can pick up and learn from. So I have a great time with our beautiful madness here. So
Yes, I do too. I look forward to our beautiful badness on Thursdays and cognitive cuisine, definitely. It's fun. It's fun. And
definitely,
yeah, I'm just very thankful that the universe brought us together so we could share and collab and do different things, because I think it is a ripple effect. And if, we can help one person today from just that's heard this, we've done what we set out to do. Hopefully
Definitely.
more, though.
Definitely. Yeah. So coaches, if listen, if you get whatever you got out from this, but know your worth. Find out
Yeah,
what your value is, and then s- again, like Myron Golden said, when I heard him say this, like if it makes you smile, then yeah, that's your offer.
yeah.
So thank you again for tuning in to Cognitive Cuisine. Greatly appreciate it. I'm Wize Will Otero,
I'm Yayoi from Brain to Belly.
and we will be back next week. Thank you once again, and we greatly appreciate you all. Um, Peace out.
Peace out.